What if I told you that the brutal conquest of entire continents wasn't just about land and resources, but about something far more insidious lurking in the human mind? Something that still echoes in our world today? Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that's often glossed over in history books: the psychological underpinnings of colonialism. We're not just talking dates and battles. We're exploring the mindset that allowed for such widespread domination and violence. Why did it happen? What were the beliefs and biases that fueled it? And crucially, how do these historical patterns continue to influence us, even now? Stick around, because understanding this hidden psychology is key to understanding our present. One of the most pervasive justifications for colonialism was the so-called civilizing mission. European powers, particularly in the 18th and 19th centuries, presented themselves as bringing progress, religion, and enlightenment to supposedly backward societies. But here's the thing. This narrative was built on a foundation of profound ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism, simply put, is judging other cultures based on the standards of one's own culture. Colonizers viewed their own way of life, their technology, their governance, their religion, as inherently superior. Anything different was seen as primitive, savage, or uncivilized. This wasn't just a casual observation. It was a deeply ingrained belief system. It allowed them to dehumanize the people they encountered. If you believe someone is fundamentally less developed, less intelligent, or less human, then exploiting them, subjugating them, or even eliminating them becomes psychologically easier to justify. Think about it. How can you truly respect the rights or the autonomy of a people you believe are incapable of governing themselves or living properly? This psychological framework provided the moral and intellectual cover for immense brutality. What do you think? Was this civilizing mission ever genuinely about helping others? Or was it always about power? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear your perspectives on this. Closely linked to ethnocentrism is the concept of othering. This is the process by which a dominant group defines itself by contrasting it with a marginalized group, portraying the other as fundamentally different, inferior, and even dangerous. Colonial powers meticulously constructed an image of the colonized other. They were often depicted as lazy, irrational, overly emotional, childlike, or inherently violent. Essentially, the antithesis of the rational, disciplined, and superior European. This othering served a crucial psychological purpose for the colonizers. It created a clear distinction: us, civilized, rational, strong, versus them, savage, emotional, weak. This dichotomy helped to alleviate any potential guilt or cognitive dissonance associated with their actions. If the other is inherently flawed or dangerous, then controlling or even harming them becomes a necessary act of self-preservation or a benevolent imposition of order. Here's the thing. This psychological mechanism isn't unique to colonialism. We see it in racism, sexism, nationalism, anywhere a group seeks to establish dominance by defining another group as fundamentally less than. It's a powerful tool for maintaining social hierarchies. Have you ever noticed how certain groups are consistently portrayed in media or political discourse in a way that makes them seem inherently different or problematic? How does this othering affect how we perceive people today? While this civilizing mission provided the ideological justification, fear and the desire for absolute control were powerful psychological drivers on the ground. Colonialism inherently involved imposing one group's will upon another, often against fierce resistance. To maintain control, colonizers relied on tactics designed to instill fear and break the spirit of the colonized. This included extreme violence, collective punishment, the destruction of cultural practices and social structures, and the imposition of foreign laws and languages. Psychologically, this created a climate of learned helplessness. When individuals or communities repeatedly experience trauma and punishment with no apparent means of escape or recourse, they can internalize a sense of powerlessness. This makes future resistance less likely. It's a grim cycle. The colonizers' fear of losing control fueled increasingly brutal methods of suppression, which in turn generated more resistance, perpetuating the cycle. The psychology here is about maintaining power through intimidation and the systematic dismantling of the other's agency. Think about the psychological impact on both sides. The colonizer constantly living with fear and the burden of maintaining control, and the colonized living under constant threat. It's a deeply damaging dynamic. What forms of control, beyond physical violence, do you think were most effective in colonial contexts? For the colonizers, especially those in positions of power, there was also the psychological benefit of perceived superiority. Being part of the dominant group, the civilized nation, came with a sense of pride, entitlement, and even a perceived moral duty, the white man's burden, as it was famously called. This idea suggested that it was the duty of Europeans to uplift and govern the lesser races. Psychologically, this could alleviate guilt and reinforce a positive self-image. They weren't simply exploiters, they were benevolent rulers, bringing order to chaos. However, this also created a significant psychological burden. The constant need to justify their actions, the cognitive dissonance of upholding civilized values while engaging in brutal practices, and the sheer logistical and emotional toll of managing vast, often unwilling empires. It fostered a sense of arrogance and detachment from the realities faced by the colonized. This belief in inherent superiority also blinded them to the richness and validity of the cultures they were destroying. It's a classic case of confirmation bias, seeking and interpreting information in a way that confirms pre-existing beliefs about their own superiority. It's fascinating, isn't it? How a belief in one's own superiority can be both a justification for terrible acts and a psychological weight. What are some modern-day examples where a sense of national or cultural superiority might be influencing actions? The psychological dynamics of colonialism didn't simply vanish with the end of formal empires. The legacy of othering, dehumanization, and imposed inferiority continues to shape societies globally. For the descendants of the colonized, the psychological scars can manifest as intergenerational trauma, internalized oppression, and ongoing struggles for identity and self-worth. The constant message of inferiority, even if subtle, can have profound long-term effects on communities. Conversely, for the descendants of colonizers, there can be a complex legacy, a need to confront historical complicity, grapple with inherited privilege, and challenge the lingering biases that stem from those old psychological frameworks. Understanding this hidden psychology is crucial because these patterns of thought, the tendency to other, to justify dominance, to discount different ways of life, can resurface in new forms. Recognizing them is the first step toward dismantling them. It's a heavy topic, I know, but facing it is essential for building a more equitable future. What historical or contemporary issues do you see being influenced by these colonial psychological patterns? We've covered a lot of ground today, exploring the deep psychological roots of colonial violence. It's a complex history, and understanding it helps us make sense of the world we live in now. If you found this exploration insightful, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel reach more people. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our future deep dives into history and psychology. And remember that question I asked earlier about modern examples? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep this important conversation going. Thank you so much for joining me today on this journey into the psychology of domination. It's vital work, and I appreciate you being here. In our subsequent video, we'll be looking at the surprising psychological impact of propaganda in the 20th century. You won't want to miss it. Until then, keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.